Hello, and welcome to another episode of Positive Parenting with Astrology. I am your host and resident Gemini, Maria Riegger, and today we're talking about the Astrological New Year. This is a very exciting week for a lot of reasons. We started the week with a conjunction with the Sun, Venus, and Mercury, all in the sign of Aries. And remember, Mercury and Venus are still in retrograde. And this upcoming weekend, Saturday 29th, we have a solar eclipse in the sign of Aries, when the sun and moon, again, both in the sign of Aries, will be conjunct. This is a significant time for all of us, and we're going to go over all of that. And at the end of this video, I'm going to share a secret about this solar eclipse transit, which is really good to inform your parenting during this time. So stay tuned for that. I want to share with you really quickly that I am excited about a couple initiatives. So I have a free boundaries worksheet for parents. If you're interested in that, please comment boundaries below or email me directly on maria@lawschoolheretic.com, and I will send that boundaries checklist to you. I am also very close to publishing my Boundaries for Parents course. I'm in the process of recording the last couple of modules, including a bonus module on how to inoculate yourself against toxic people by protecting your boundaries. I am super excited about this course because this Boundaries for Parents course really sets the stage for us to be better parents and teach our kids how to have healthy boundaries and protect themselves, which is what my hope is, that we protect and guide the next generation so that they will grow up more emotionally healthy than we did. That will be available very soon. It is a step-by-step on-demand course on how to start articulating, enforcing, and reinforcing your boundaries with scripts and all kinds of guidance to help you. Now, if you are on my mailing list, you will be getting access to that course for free in exchange for your honest feedback. So if you would like free access to that course, you can email me on maria@lawschoolheretic.com and ask to be added to my mailing list, or you can click the sign up link below to get on my mailing list by April 14th. If you get on my mailing list by April 14th, I will give you access to the Boundaries for Parents course for free. Now, let's get into what you came for, which is all about the astrological new year and the upcoming solar eclipse in Aries. Now, first of all, as we mentioned, we started the week with this conjunction with the Sun, Venus, and Mercury. Venus and Mercury are still in retrograde in the sign of Aries. So whenever Mercury is in retrograde, there's a big possibility of miscommunication, misunderstandings. So my recommendation during this time, right, is to really check yourself before you communicate. Double check any communications, outgoing communications, and also pause, reflect, rethink, maybe rephrase what you were going to say. With these transits all being in Aries, there is always a risk of emotional explosion because Aries is all about the self, what I want, what I need, like how this is affecting me. So in terms of parenting our kids, there's always a risk of this overreaction, emotional overreaction, even emotional explosion. And that harms the relationship over the long term. We can protect against that by slowing everything down. Just hard for me because I talk really fast. When I purposely slow myself down, it feels like an absolutely glacial pace. Anyway, but we can protect against those misunderstandings and that risk of emotional overreactivity by slowing everything down. Our words, our thoughts, our actions. Like I said, pause before react, pause before taking action, all those things. Making sure that we are communicating consciously, not just reacting to triggers, because there's under this energy, there's a big risk of just reacting from a place of our triggers, right? Now, it's the beginning of the astrological new year, and so it's new year, new you, right? And being in the sign of Aries, Aries energy compels us to self-advocate, to assert ourselves on the stage of life. This energy is supercharged even more by the upcoming Aries eclipse. So again, this is a great time to work on your own self-advocacy, your own boundaries, protecting your own interests, and also making sure that you are allowing your kids to self-champion. But yeah, self-advocacy, assertiveness, me, that is that all that energy is front and center, and it's going to be for the next couple of weeks. So expect your kids, especially adolescents and teenagers, to be assertive, almost borderline aggressive in going after what they want, in advocating. We've already had a couple exchanges in my household this week, which I thought were very interesting. And I was like, I'm just going to observe, look at this like an observer and not, and try really hard not to react from a place of my triggers, right? But it is not going to be uncommon for our kids during this time to react in an extremely assertive way. Like I said, borderline aggressive. That is normal. That is the energy of the time. So it's all about how us parents handle that. So, in terms of allowing our kids to self champion, which, as I always say, is necessary, there are a few things I want you to keep in mind. First, as I always say on this channel, we should allow our kids to stand up for themselves, state their boundaries, and advocate for themselves at home with us. If they do not practice the self advocacy at home, if they do not practice stating their boundaries, if they are not allowed to flex those muscles, flex those skills, they will not be able to do so effectively as adults, right? We want them to be able to stand up for themselves respectfully so that when they're adults and the parents are not around on demand and not around to guide them and give them feedback, they're able to make those tough calls for themselves and self-advocate and stand up for themselves even when it's uncomfortable for them to do so. They need to be able to do that. There are a lot of toxic people out there right now. I mean, Dr. Romani on YouTube estimates that 1 out of every 6 people is a narcissist. Now, that's her best guess, right? But still, that's terrifying. So we really have to think about our own interests. And that's not selfish. We can think about our interests and also consider the interests of other people, right? That's what this energy is compelling us to do, is to include our own interests and preferences and values in the conversation. 2, we can validate our kids and show them we are listening to them and hearing them without agreeing with them. You likely will not agree with everything your kids want to do. I don't agree with mine, right? With everything my kid wants to do or says. That's fine. You don't have to agree with them. You can still validate their experiences and communicate that you are hearing and listening without agreeing. Statements like, I hear you. I see. Tell me more about that. So I'm curious. I think what you're saying is X. All those statements are communicating to the other person that you are listening, you are engaged, you are interested and curious about what they have to say, but you don't necessarily have to agree with them. That's okay. I'm not saying you have to agree with your kids or give in to what they want all the time, but you can show that you are emotionally present without agreeing with them. So remember to use those phrases. Now, if things are getting very heated, as they sometimes do in my house with the Scorpio and Aries energy going on, if things get very heated with your older kids, and it's a funny thing as an aside to see these kids that you remember as little babies now like taller than you, and you're like, what am I supposed to do now when I argue with this like adult, this hulking adult, right? You can, if things are getting heated, first of all, you always have to remain calm, right? um Agreeing with the other person is a great way to kind of disarm the emotional intensity of the exchange. And in fact, in his book Never Split the Difference, which I love and I recommend to everybody, the author, who is a former FBI hostage negotiator, makes this point. He said when you agree with the other person, it kind of disarms them a little bit. It takes the intense wind out of their sails because they're expecting a fight. And teenagers, man, they are expecting a fight from the parents. They are expecting an argument from the parents. So when they say something and they're getting a little agitated and you say, you're right. That's it. 90% of the time that disarms the intensity of the exchange. Your teen saying, if your teen says, for example, if your teen says, you don't know what it's like, you don't, You know what it's like for me. Yeah, you're right. I don't. I don't know what it's like for you. I know what it was like for me as a teenager, and it was tough, but I cannot know what it is like for you as a teenager today. Things like that. So, uh, when you agree like that, and I'm not saying you have to agree with every single thing they're saying, but maybe one aspect of it, you're right. You should be able to speak up for yourself. Please do so respectfully, or please communicate with me and speak up for yourself without raising your voice. You want to avoid a power struggle, this back and forth, where it's not productive. It at the most, it gives you a little bit of an outlet and a release, but it doesn't resolve anything. And if the point here is to communicate and guide your teen and maybe have them see that maybe they should take your advice and there are reasons for it, the power struggle is not going to achieve that objective. It's not about you, the parent, being right. It's about you, the parent, guiding your teens, older kids, right? Your adolescents and teens, to make better decisions for themselves, to empower them to make better decisions for themselves. And by you modeling the calm for them, you are also showing them that you can have these disagreements and you can self advocate and stick up for yourself without being aggressive, without being emotionally intense or emotionally reactive. You can have a calm exchange like this and still state your boundaries and still stand up for yourself. Secure parents do not need to be right all the time. Secure parents know they make mistakes, they own up to those mistakes, hold themselves accountable, and secure parents apologize to their kids when it's warranted. And by you doing that, you are modeling that for your kids. You are modeling that accountability for them. And you'll see that eventually. If your kids, especially older kids, start to take accountability for things like in school, you should be very proud of that because that's largely based on you modeling that for them. The last main point I want to make about this energy and self assertiveness and self championing in our kids is that for our teenagers, especially, the act of self advocacy has value. The issue doesn't matter because us parents, and I have found myself in this situation many times. A lot of the time, us parents think, well, this issue, it doesn't make sense for you to argue about this issue. Why are you arguing so vociferously about this issue, right? It's not about the issue. It's about the autonomy and the act of protecting their autonomy and the act of self-advocating and the act of stating the boundaries, what I want and what I don't want. For teens, that is what has value, is the act of doing that, is the autonomy, not the issue. So you may think, I can't believe you're going to die on this hill. This is dumb. Yes, maybe it is objectively, but it's not about the hill or the issue. It's about the autonomy. And if you can get there, if every time your teen, does that, like every time your teen like vociferously, assertively protects their autonomy or says, I don't want to do this, and you're thinking, I'm just asking you to go on a 15-minute walk with me. What is the big deal? Every time that happens, if you can get there and think it's not about the walk, it's not about me, the parent, it's not personal, it's about the teen needing to protect their autonomy in that moment. And if you are parallel parenting with a parent who is not a conscious parent, with a parent who is very authoritarian, your teen is going to do that more with you, the safe parent, the conscious parent, the parent who allows them to express themselves. So that's what you can expect. And you may think, why are you so oppositional with me when our relationship is, more collaborative and communicative? That's why, because they're comfortable protecting the autonomy with you. If they don't get to assert their autonomy at the other parent's house, they're going to do it even more with you. Okay. So if you can get there and know that it's not about you, it's not about the issue, it's about them needing the autonomy. And if you can give it to them, that's like 80% of parenting teens right there. So, so that's the most important message I want you to take away from this video today is that it's about protecting their autonomy. It's not personal. It's hard for us parents not to take things personally, but it's really not about us. A weird message for Aries season because Aries energy compels us to think, no, it's all about us, right? Now, the secret I want to talk about regarding the Aries solar eclipse. The asteroid Chiron is involved in this transit. It's going to be very close to the sun during the solar eclipse. So you can watch my video, the link is in the video description, on interpreting Chiron in the chart. But Chiron represents briefly where we were wounded and where we have the capacity to heal others. So, with all this explosive, fiery energy in this transit, on top of all that, Chiron is involved, meaning this energy is probably going to bring up some core wounds for us. So it's likely that us parents will be triggered by our kids' self-advocacy and displays of autonomy. Just remember that. Be conscious of that. It's not about you. I had this moment yesterday where I got really upset. And I remember this is not about me, right? This is the energy of this week is what's making me feel this way. It's not about me. And I was able to ride that out. So remember, this energy is temporary. It is intense, but it's just, you get through it, right? You get through it. What is that Churchill quote about when you're walking through hell, just keep walking? I'm not saying this energy this week is equivalent to walking through hell, but it's going to be intense. So remember that if some of your core triggers are brought up, that is consistent with the energy, and you need to just remember to pause, slow things down, and not react. Respond, don't react. This is also the perfect energy to take imperfect action. Okay, if you have been waiting and because things aren't lined up or perfectly, assembled and you don't want to take action, this energy is going to compel you to take action. In my opinion, imperfect action is better than no action. A small action is better than no action. Don't let that perfectionism prevent you from achieving things. Take an action. If it didn't work out how you wanted, that's okay. Remember that when you have a bad outcome from a decision or an action, it does not mean it was a bad decision or a bad action. Sometimes you can have a good decision that results in a bad outcome for circumstances beyond your control. My point here is take imperfect action. This is a great energy that encourages that. And lastly, if you want my free boundaries worksheet, just comment boundaries below or email me at maria@lawschoolheretic.com. If you're interested in getting my boundaries course for free, please sign up for my mailing list. Again, using the sign up link below. Lastly, my calendar is open. I had a great session with a new client on the day of the lunar eclipse. The other day was fantastic. My calendar is open. I do have some slots available. I will from now through the end of May until I'm traveling over the summer. So if you would like a natal chart reading, a relationship reading, if you would like to book a coaching session for like one particular issue, you can do so via the link below. Also, if you'd like to book a free discovery call with me so I can figure out exactly how I can help you with tailor-made solutions just for you and your family, please, that's totally free. Please use the link below to book that. And thank you for your attention. And again, happy Astrological New Year.